This is Benjamin from English Classes Online. In today's video, we are going to look at the 3 perfect tenses in English and how to use them correctly. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Click on the bell icon as well so that whenever a new video goes live on this channel, you will be notified instantly. Without much ado, let's dive into the lesson. What are the 3 perfect tenses? The 3 perfect tenses in English are as follows. 1, present perfect. 2, past perfect. And 3, future perfect. Now let's look at the present perfect tense to start with. Now the present perfect tense is used to express an action that occurred at an unspecified time in the past, all right? The time is not known, but it's occurred in the past. It's done and dusted, and so we can use the present perfect tense to talk about it. Now, the word perfect here gives an indication that it is a completed action, all right? For example, James has traveled to many countries, all right? Then let's look at other uses of the present perfect tense. A, past actions with present relevance. An action that took place in the past, but there's something in the present that reminds us about that action. For example, we've lived in Lagos since 1984, all right? And why do we make that conclusion? Lagos is where we are living right now. So we've lived in Lagos since 1984. We are recollecting the time when we started living in Lagos, but we still live in Lagos. So the present, that action, that past action is still relevant, to the present moment. Then you've not shaved your hair for ages, and what actually makes that relevant is that when I look at your hair, I find that your hair is unkempt, okay? And because your hair is unkempt, it suggests to me that you've not shaved your hair for ages. This action started in the past. You left your hair since a long time ago, and it's still like that. So I can see that your hair is unkempt. Past actions with present relevance. Then another use is unspecified time in the past. We earlier talked about that, but let's look at other examples. Example I here, I have read that novel many times. The action of reading the novel occurred in the past, but the time is unspecified. Then another example, there have been many bomb explosions in Nigeria. We cannot place our finger on the specific time when each explosion occurred, but we know that these explosions happened in the past. Now, another use of the present perfect tense is a change over time, a change that has taken place over a period of time. For example, things have changed. Things have changed. Over time, there have been changes. Another example is you have grown since, well, let's look at this. You have grown since the last time I saw you. You have grown. A change has taken place in your stature over time. All right, so let's look at other uses of the present perfect tense. And we are looking at the multiple actions at different times. For example, the committee has had 4 meetings this term. Multiple actions, many actions. taking place, that took place different times in the past. So we can use this to the present perfect tense to talk about such actions. Now, the second example here, we've had two tests so far this term. Then the next use of the present perfect tense is to report or talk about habitual actions, things that happened habitually or frequently, all right? Or all the time, if you like. For example, the national news has been broadcast at 9 o'clock for as long as I can remember. This has habitually happened at that particular time. Then another example is Eze has always walked to school. Now the adverb always can be used combined with the present perfect tense to actually talk about habitual actions. You can say frequently or often or usually, all right? So any of those adverbs of frequency can actually be used or combined with the present perfect tense to talk about habitual actions. Yet other uses, we look at what we call resultative past, an action that occurred in the past, but the result is what we can see in the present time, and that makes us to remember that such an action happened in the past. For example, Rose has recovered from her illness. We remember that Rose was ill some time ago, but now that we see her, she looks well again. She looks healthy, and so we can talk about her past illness, which now has been, you know, overtaken by her healing, so to say. You know, she's now well again. So we can conclude that Rose has recovered from her illness, an action that took place in the past, but there is a present result that reminds us of that past event, past incident. Now, another example is someone has stolen my book. That action happened in the past. Now, the result in this present time is that my book is now missing. And the cause of the missing book, the reason for the missing book is that someone stole it. All right? Someone has stolen my book. That took place in the past, but the result is that my book is now missing. So we can talk about such, you know, such events, such incidents, such happenings. So the perfect tenses are very important tenses to spice up your speech and writing, you know, and be able to communicate your ideas in a variety of ways, all right? Then another use of the present perfect tense is to talk about accomplishments or achievements. For example, doctors have cured many deadly diseases. They have cured. That is an accomplishment, something they have done. Or Governor Fashola has transformed Lagos. So you can use the present perfect tense to talk about someone's achievement or someone's accomplishments. Now let's move on. Now, I want you to take a look at this pictorial presentation of the present perfect tense and their various uses. Now, the first one here is finished action. We have a past event and a present result. Of course, we looked at it earlier, but we see another example. Now, she has lost her wallet. The result is that she can't find it. That's a resultative past we earlier looked at. And here I want you to see it quite clearer. You know, finished action, you know, the idea of the word perfect here is an indication that it is a completed action. The action is a finished action, is a past event, but we have something in the present telling us that that actually happened. You know, she can't find her wallet. So we remember she has lost her wallet. The result is that she can't find it. Another thing we use is to talk about recent completed actions. For example, I've just finished my project. The word just is an adverb. So I earlier mentioned you can combine an adverb with, present perfect tense to report action. And the word just, it actually enables us to report that recent aspect of this action. Then another is to talk about finished action, that happened over a period of time, duration from the past until now. For example, I have lived in Paris for 5 years. I started living in Paris 5 years ago, and there's nothing to show I am no longer living there. I still live in Paris. And I'm reporting the duration, the period of time that I've spent so far in Paris. I have lived in Paris for 5 years. All right. There are multiple actions at different times. Already we saw it. But I want you to look at it tutorial here and then look at other examples. For example, I have seen them several times. I have seen them several times. The action took place different times. Then life experiences. Have you ever eaten sushi before? You can talk about your experience. Have you ever eaten sushi before? All right, that's a question that actually try to inquire into your personal experiences. Have you ever eaten sushi before? All right. Then accomplishments, which we earlier talked about. Man has walked on the moon. That's an accomplishment, has walked on the moon. Then changes that have taken place over time. We also talked about them. I have become more interested in medical issues. That is, I was not interested in that before, but all that has changed. I have become more interested in medical issues. A change that has occurred. You can use it to talk about growth, like what the example we earlier saw. You have grown much bigger, since I saw you the last time. Changes that have occurred over time. Now let's move on to look at the past perfect tense. We are now done and dusted with the present perfect. So we now look at the past perfect tense. And so the past perfect tense is actually used to, we use it to talk about an action that happened, before another past event. All right. For example, we had reached the school before the bell rang. Here we have two actions: reaching the school and then the bell ringing. These are two events. Both happened in the past, but the one that happened before the other is the one we report with the past perfect tense. We call it a past in the past, or a past before the past, if you like. We had reached the school before the bell rang. Okay. Now let's look at what exactly it is. It is used to show an action that completed before another past action. For example, James had traveled to many countries before he moved to London. All right, it's similar to what we had earlier seen pictorially. We had reached the school before the bell rang. Let's look at other uses of the past perfect tense. A, action completed before another action in the past. Yes, we have talked about that, but let's look at other examples. Example I, we had finished the work before Jude arrived. Two things happened in the fast, finishing the work and Jude arriving. But the one that took place first happened to be finishing the work. We had finished the work before Jude arrived. Now, the next example, Joyce had studied French before she moved to Paris. She had studied French. That action happened before another past action of her moving to Paris. Then another example, the robbers, well, let's go back to that. The robbers had disappeared when the police arrived. Then let's look at another use, duration before something in the past. Something took place over a period of time before another thing happened. For example, Felix had had that car for 8 years before it was stolen. Now, Philip having the car was one event, and then the car being stolen was another. But then the Philip having the car had taken place for a period of 8 years before the second incident, which was the stealing of the car. Then another example, the family felt bad about the court judgment because they had owned the house for more than 50 years. They had owned the house for more than 50 years. Of course, before that court judgment. All right, a house you have owned for more than 50 years, then suddenly there's a court judgment, and you are now told that that house doesn't belong to you anymore. So the family felt bad about the court judgment because they had owned the house for more than 50 years. Then another example is, before Ujunwa finished her studies, she had been in Canada for over 7 years. Her being in Canada was one thing, her finishing her studies was another. But then her being in Canada had taken place for a period of over 7 years, before she finished her studies. Now let's proceed to other uses of the past perfect tense. We can use the past perfect tense in reported speech. For example, when you have a direct speech, I have done my assignment, Kemi said. If we report this speech, what we have is Kemi said she had done her assignment. She had done her assignment, all right? That is the past perfect tense, which is used in reported speech. So if you are a reporter and you report what other people have said, you are likely to use the past perfect tense most of the time. Then another use of the past perfect tense is in conditional sentences. For example, if Mabel had studied harder, she would have passed the exam. If Mabel had studied, so you can see that the past perfect tense is used in the if clause, that's the conditional clause. If Mabel had studied harder, she would have, passed the exam. Again, you discover that, the past perfect tense is used. Now, if the Super Eagles had been more determined, they would have won the match. Another example, if they had rushed him to the hospital, he wouldn't have died. So we can use the past perfect tense in conditional sentences. Now, let's look at yet other uses of the past perfect tense, and the E part of these uses is in reporting a hypothetical past, or talking about a hypothetical past event. Hypothetical in the sense that it never happened in reality, is something within the realm of imagination. So, for example, I wish I had repaired the car earlier. Of course, I didn't, all right? It's just in the realm of wishes, wishes. I wish I had repaired the car earlier. It's just hypothetical. I am just imagining that, you know, it would have been better if I had done it, but then I didn't do it. Then another example, if only I had gone by taxi, you know, probably you are going to attend an event and your presence is needed, and eventually you stand somewhere waiting for the bus and all that, and that slow means of transport, you know, delays you, and then you arrive late. And now you are imagining that you would have arrived earlier if you had gone by taxi. So, you know, you hypothetically say, if only I had gone by taxi, I would have arrived earlier. Now, another example, I wish I had taken more food. I wish I had taken more food. You didn't take more food. So now you are hungry. You know, I am hungry now. And so it is just within my imagination that I am probably regretting. I wish I had taken more food. All right. Okay, so another use of the past perfect tense is in as if or as though clauses. You know, clauses that have as if or as though. For example, he behaved as if nothing had happened. As if nothing had happened. Had happened is the past perfect tense here. Judith looked as though she hadn't slept all night. Hadn't slept all night. Another example, Anya looked as if he had done something terrible. As if he had done something terrible. Now, we have looked at this, and let's now look at the future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is used to show an action that will be completed before a certain time or before a certain action in the future. For example, James will have traveled to 5 other countries before the end of the year. We are now looking into the future, and we are looking at what, you know, will have happened by the end of the year as regards James's travels. All right. So we say James will have. Now, will have is what we have as the future perfect tense. Yeah. Now, let me take a little time to tell you about the structure of these perfect tenses. As you earlier noticed, in the present perfect and the past perfect, we used different forms of have, has, have, had, and then we combine that with the past participle of a verb. But here we are using another auxiliary verb, will. We are combining it with have and with the past participle of travel to give us the future perfect tense. So take note of the structure of the perfect tenses. Of course, the perfect tenses can also be called the compound tenses because we always combine a helping verb with a past participle of a verb, all right? So James will have traveled to other countries before the end of the year. Now let's look at other uses of the future perfect tense. A, action completed before something in the future. It is used to show that something will happen before another action or before a given time in the future, as earlier noted. But let's look at other examples. Example I, the train will have left before you get to the station. You know, the speaker has noticed that the listener is rather departing late. So the train will have left before you get to the station. Then another example, the meeting will have started before Mr. Williams arrives. Of course, you notice that Mr. Williams didn't leave on time. So before he arrives there, the meeting will have started. Then another use of the future perfect tense is to talk about a period of time before something else in the future. For example, by January, I will have worked in this organization for 5 years. You are projecting into the future. You are doing some kind of calculation. You know when you started working in that organization, and then you know that when the next January comes, the period that you have spent in that organization will be exactly 5 years. So you say by January, I will have worked in this organization for 5 years. Another example is Mr. Jones will have been in Nigeria for 10 years by the time he leaves. You know when Mr. Jones started living in Nigeria, you have calculated the period, and then you are aware of when exactly the date of his leaving the country. So, you know, there's a kind of calculation when you project into the future and you predict what is going to happen at a given time at a given point in the future. So Mr. Jones will have been in Nigeria for 10 years by the time he leaves. Okay, so that is it has been in today's video. This is where we are going to draw the curtain in today's video. We have been looking at the 3 perfect tenses in English and how to use them correctly. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like the video and share it with your friends and relations. If you have not subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Make sure you click on the bell icon as well, so that whenever a new video goes live on this channel, you will be notified instantly. We are organizing a free masterclass for those of you out there who might be interested in setting up your own online teaching business, you know, so you can create multiple streams of income for yourself. So this webinar is going to take place in a few days' time. So if you are watching this video before this masterclass, then click on the link below. If the masterclass has already happened, you can as well watch the replay. So that masterclass will show you how you can set up your own online teaching business that will enable you to create multiple streams of income for yourself. Then I have a bonus ebook, PDF ebook in the description box. So click on it and download a free copy for yourself. You will also find other publications that I have made, and most of them you might find interesting. If you are desirous of gaining proficiency in the use of English, you need to get a copy of Good Success in English, a complete study package for effective English learning. There are other English handbooks such as Good Success English Handbook, and for those who are preparing for their English exams, how to score high in your English exams will be there. There are personal development books, skill development books. Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important.
If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you